So, first question I have for you is, how did serving on Morningside's board prepare you for stepping in as interim president?
Well, I think probably the biggest thing is it gave me a really good insight into, I was on it for 8 years. So I had a really good understanding of kind of not only the people, the high quality and amazing people getting it done every day,
Mm-hmm.
but, being an alumni myself, I really was able to connect back with the culture. And so, you think about the people and the culture and then all the different work that was going on. So by having that level of visibility, it allowed me to kind of start from a place that, I was pretty easy to just jump in and have a general understanding of kind of what's going on at Morningside.
Yeah, your background is a little different from academic,
Yeah.
teaching settings. Could you speak a little bit to that?
Yeah, so like I don't come from higher ed, right? So I wasn't in higher ed from kind of an administrative or a faculty perspective. I haven't been a president of a university, so like kind of scratching all those things of kind of leaning into things you might have known. I come from kind of the industry, right? So technology, finance, leading, running companies, building companies, and so in many ways, like a lot of the soft skills that I brought to the table are inherent, I think, in what you need to run any organization. Just didn't have the experience or don't have the experience of running ed, so.
I was going to ask
Yeah.
if you have found that, although your background might not seem immediately like something that would lean into it, have you found those sorts of skills that you've acquired over the years to actually be quite advantageous in this setting?
Yeah, I do. I mean, if you think about kind of where ed is at in general, just based on kind of the macro setting, I'm in, kind of innately a problem solver, and so I think when you look at the different kinds of things we have going on here at Morningside, we have a new IT application platform we're putting in campus wide, so that plays a lot to my strengths in problem solving.
Mm-hmm.
We have an acquisition of St. Luke's College of Nursing, and I've been involved with a number of acquisitions over time, so I really understand the importance of what needs to happen there. We're trying to build a new business building, that's underway.
Yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, so a lot of the things that I guess practically speaking are project level. I've had a lot of those opportunities to work on those kinds of things.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're not new or kind of abstract to me. And I think the other side of it is just the people, right? So the students, and we have a great one of the largest classes we've had in modern data history.
Mm-hmm.
And so like making sure the real purpose is making sure that we're doing all the necessary things to kind of make the best year possible for the student here at Morningside University.
Okay. What does it mean to lead a university at a time when higher education faces a student enrollment decline?
Yeah. So, we've heard it over time about this idea of a cliff, right? That the population of students coming through the process nationally over the next call it 5 years
Mm-hmm.
is going to see a dip, and so I think what that really makes all of us do that are focused on how to market and achieve enrollment, right? Sustainability of an organization is to really step back and look at what have we done in the past, is that going to work in the future, and then how can we augment, how can we pivot and really relook at different strategies to make us more efficient and effective, to bring our message to the high school student and the parents who are looking for a great place for their young adult prospective student to go. And so that's about, again, problem solving, and really looking at different ways to reach beyond kind of the traditional Morningside methods of acquiring and bringing students to Morningside.
Do you have any specific examples
Yeah.
that you'd be open to sharing?
Absolutely. So, traditionally we've been a very, what I would call kind of brand oriented marketing, right? So we do a lot of kind of reaching everybody in a specific Morningside way. we have many great programs, but one of the programs that I would use as an example would be nursing, right? And so our ability to reach into areas that maybe are hard for high school students to because of wait list and cost to school to go to school to be a nurse, right? And those could be in different states, and in the past we may have not had targeted them as efficiently, and we'll be doing that as one example, right? So there's many examples in that. We'll be doing a lot more digital advertising, obviously, and really trying to reach students to get to Morningside, because we know when a student or parent come to Morningside, they really fall in love with Morningside. Our team does an exceptional job of showing them what Morningside has to offer, and they see that when they get here. You probably relate to that in a certain way, right?
Definitely.
Yeah. So that's the goal, right? Is to connect with folks, students, and when they're in their junior and senior year, and really help them better understand, maybe us better understand what they want to accomplish and how they fit here, versus just going, hey, come see us.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Definitely.
Yeah.
You've spoken about Morningside in motion. Could you elaborate on what that means exactly for students, faculty, and Siouxland?
Yeah. So if you think about when the board asked if I would be willing to step in as an interim president, I recognize that what they were really wanting is somebody that could, in the moment of trying to figure out what the next step was, being off cycle from a president recruiting process, keep things in motion. And so, like, my whole the tagline of Morningside in Motion, when you break it down to a student level, is really all about the basics of getting up every day, being prepared, going to class, getting involved. As a freshman, sophomore, junior, senior, you're a senior, right? So you think about the motion that's pushing you through the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
And my thing is, it can be easy for folks to kind of lose sight of that. And I think the best experience is when you're leaning into and leaning forward, right? Not letting things pass you by. So getting involved with all different kinds of clubs. You're here as editor-in-chief of this communications thing. Like, you're involved, right? So that's motion, is getting involved, immersing yourself in the experience and taking everything you possibly can away.
Right. I mean, you see so many seniors. I mean, like, there's even like the saying, like, senioritis.
Yeah.
Like people who are just ready to check out, because they've lost that momentum because they don't have a lot of things like pushing them in that forward direction.
And I want to keep that going for them, right?
Yeah.
Because that, like, they're gonna look back at the end of the year and they'll be like, wow, that year went so fast, and did I really take advantage of it?
What message do you want alumni and the Siouxland community to hear about the role they play in Morningside's future?
Yeah, so, like, I think things that most people don't really understand about Morningside. So we are the 4th largest producer of educators in the state of Iowa.
I didn't know that.
Right? So it's pretty amazing. So the regents, right, Iowa State, and UNI are the largest. Aside from that, all the privates were the 4th largest. And so we produce a lot of educators here in the state of Iowa. And that becomes really important to a large community like Siouxland, because frankly, we produce a lot of teachers, a lot of coaches, a lot of principals, administrators right here in the Siouxland area. So Morningside is incredibly important on that front. I would say the same thing when it comes to nursing, right? Our acquisition of St. Luke's with Unity Point, and the partnership we have with Unity Point moving forward is really about us taking what we do really well and what they do really well, combining that and taking our program with St. Luke's and making the best of the best outcome. And so, that program will progress. And again, if you think about what really makes communities go well, it's strong healthcare, it's strong education, right? It's a progressive approach to job creation and innovation, and ultimately, though, taxes. And communities that can kind of thrive in that area have a tendency to grow. And we play in multiple areas. About 60% of the students that come to Morningside end up staying in the area. So those are those are statistics that like really are fundamentally about making a stronger community.
I was about to say it pours back into the
Right.
community.
Right. So we need the community, right, as a higher education platform. That doesn't just mean Morningside, it means Briarcliff, and what the community needs, that robust infrastructure to bring not only people in, but to develop skills and talents that are relevant to the marketplace of Sioux City. And I think for our alumni, right, all of us come from different eras, right? Like if you think about, I always look at it in time. So from 1903, 1894, Morningside was established here in Sioux City.
Mm-hmm.
1903 to 1959, we were the Morningside Maroons. 1959 to 1998, we were the Chiefs, and then presently from 98 on, we've been the Mustangs. And so you have these kind of generation of kind of identity of Morningside, but we're all Morningside.
Mm-hmm.
And I think everybody that's gone here kind of has an affinity to kind of their era. But what it takes to make Morningside really work as an engaged alumni community, and I think that's part of the special kind of nature of Morningside. We have a lot of people not only giving of their resources, right, but they care a lot about Morningside's future. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of my perspective. It's not always what's going to happen next week or next month or next year. It's like, what's Morningside going to look like 25 years from now? Mm-hmm. And how can each of us that have been alumni here, how can we make our little part, so that 25 years from now, somebody's sitting in this position with you and I differently having a conversation about not only the history, but what the next 25 years looks like.
I see. And those questions that you're asking, it's reminding me of the conversation we had during the pre-interview. You mentioned the 4 L's: listen, learn, lead, love.
Yeah.
Could you speak a little bit to that and how that manifests here on campus?
Yeah. So I think for a large part of my career, you try to figure out how to be the best leader you can be. And so you read a lot of books and you take a lot of concepts. I think very early I kind of adapted this idea of just trying to be a really good listener. And the old adage, the answers are in the room, all you have to do is listen for them. Mm-hmm. I think when you're dealing with people, you really have to take the time to understand kind of all the different perspectives and the different angles and positions that people are coming from. And then you got to be able to kind of learn from that.
Mm-hmm. I have one more question for you.
Yeah.
At your time at Morningside, what leadership lesson have you gained that you feel is the most important that you would want to pass on to whoever might be your successor?
Yeah. So I think there's I think two things really are very interesting to me. I am blessed with having an office in Lewis Hall that sits in a path where literally hundreds of students pass by every day. And there's just a degree of excitement and energy that comes from that. I never would have been able to kind of translate that, but to feel that every day is very inspiring, and to see, our campus community moving back and forth and flowing in conversations and laughing and camaraderie. So I love that attitude.
Being
and
in that energy.
Yeah, being in that. And so there's the high degree of responsibility to ensure that the campus has that kind of heartbeat, if
Mm-hmm.
you will. I think the other thing is when I first got here, went through pretty much every building, and I just wanted to see kind of and feel the experience mm-hmm. of what our students' life looked like from every aspect. Right. And just so I could connect with it in the summer, and that's a great time to do it because there's nobody here, so mm-hmm. it's very hot. But I think that the thing that I see is the opportunity for us in terms of our investment back into our infrastructure and our campus. And so my hope is that I'll be able to, over these next 2 years, leave a very detailed kind of summary of what I believe would be important kind of long-term projects, not thinking about it next week or next month, but 2, 5, 10, 15 years of kind of investment to make sure that Morningside is set up the right way to succeed long term. Thank you.
Thank you.
Pleasure being here. I really appreciate the time and the opportunity, and
My delight.
Jad, yeah.